While America was burning, this plane became the last line of defense for the entire world. On September 11, 2001, there were reports that it might be targeted. Nobody on board knew if they were going to make it. This is the real Air Force One. There isn't just one Air Force One. There are two, completely identical. For security reasons, operational details are tightly controlled. Forget everything you think you know about this plane. This aircraft has 238 miles of wiring built into it. A standard Boeing 747 has 90. Almost 3 times the technology. Almost 3 times the computing power. Almost 3 times the communications capability. Why? Because the president retains full command authority from up here, in real time, mid-flight. Think about that for a second. "30,000 feet above the ground. And from that aircraft, the most powerful decisions our nation can make can be issued. There are 85 phones on board, several of them with a direct line to national command centers. There are advanced medical facilities on board. A physician travels on presidential flights. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how short the trip is. The kitchen can feed 100 people at the same time. And this plane doesn't need an airport. It has its own baggage loader, its own staircase, it's completely self-sufficient. It can refuel mid-air. With aerial refueling, Air Force One can remain airborne for extended periods. And you know what detail nobody ever talks about? Mail addressed to Air Force One uses the same zip code as the White House. Let that sink in. This plane is not a mode of transportation. It's a flying White House. But why would a plane ever need that? Because it's specifically hardened to operate in the event of a nuclear conflict. Imagine someone fires a missile at Air Force One. Air Force One is equipped with advanced missile defense systems designed to counter incoming threats. It carries infrared countermeasures that can confuse heat-seeking missiles. It can deploy flares to redirect targeting systems. Electronic countermeasures can disrupt hostile radar locks. Every single piece of electronics on this plane is hardened against an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. In a nuclear detonation, an EMP can disable unprotected electronics in an instant. Air Force One is built to withstand that scenario. The president can still give orders, still communicate, still lead. "30,000 feet above a world in crisis. The windows are reinforced. The exterior is protected. And if everything else fails, the plane climbs higher. Above 45,000 feet, higher than most routine commercial traffic operates. And still. On September 11th, 2001, even that almost wasn't enough. Because that morning, Air Force One itself was considered a potential target. "9:55 in the morning. America is on fire. Air Force One takes off. And less than 2 minutes after takeoff, the message comes in. 3 words. Angel is next. Silence. Angel is the secret code name for Air Force One. Only a handful of people know it. The message suggested Air Force One might be next. The pilot gets one single order: up now. Air Force One climbs to unusually high altitude. The engines are screaming. Guards block the cockpit. Nobody gets through. Bush wants to go back to Washington. The Secret Service overrules that request. For the first time in our history, security concerns override the president's initial destination. Then, Bush wants to call Putin. Russia had picked up on U.S. forces moving to high alert. Initial communication attempts were reportedly difficult. Minutes pass. Every single second counts. Secret Service agent David Wilkinson later said, "Nobody knew what was happening." That wasn't a movie. That was September 11th, 2001. And it wasn't the first time Air Force One faced danger. Syria. Nixon on board. According to accounts from passengers, Syrian MiGs appeared on radar on a collision course. The pilot performs an evasive maneuver. Passengers are thrown forward. David Gergen later said he believed they might not survive. Minutes of uncertainty. It was later understood that the aircraft were intended as an escort. Nixon never publicly addressed the incident. You thought Air Force One was the most powerful plane in the world. There are additional aircraft that often accompany it. Backup command centers support aircraft, continuity of government platforms. Their full mission details are rarely discussed publicly. If Air Force One were ever disabled, contingency aircraft are already airborne. Trump stood in front of one at campaign rallies. Biden flew on one. Obama used one. Operational specifics are not publicly detailed. Investigative journalists have photographed some of these aircraft. Aviation enthusiasts have tracked them. But mission parameters remain classified. Somewhere above, aircraft are flying missions the public will never see in full detail. Air Force One is not just a plane. It's the last resort when everything else has failed. And somewhere up there, right now, there is an aircraft in the sky operating under protocols most of us will never fully understand. Who's up there? And what do they know that we don't?